Item: SCP-1243. Code name: Relocation Services. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. No methods of effectively containing SCP-1243 have been developed as of this time of writing. The prevention of public knowledge of SCP-1243 is top priority, and will be maintained through a number of web crawler programs designed to track down, delete, and record instances of the URL leading to SCP-1243-1. Foundation agents are undercover in several law enforcement agencies worldwide, especially those that handle missing persons cases, to find possible instances of individuals using SCP-1243. Only personnel with a security clearance of 3.1243 are permitted to know SCP-1243's URL. To prevent the accidental spread of knowledge of SCP-1243, personnel being transferred out of work on SCP-1243 for any reason will be given Class A amnestics. As it is unknown how SCP-1243 gathers information from its users or those being targeted by it, testing is forbidden at this time. Description: SCP-1243 consists of two components, designated SCP-1243-1 and SCP-1243-2. SCP-1243-1 is a web page with a URL of .dot. To this date, the Foundation has been unable to trace this page to its server, due to the site having an inconsistent IPv4 address. The method used to obscure its true IPv4 address is unknown. This web page consists of a black HTML color code number 000000 background, a JPEG logo on the top center of the page reading Relocation Services, a text field labeled name, a return field labeled cost, a button labeled place order, and a counter labeled customers served. All of these elements are encoded using very simple HTML. The page gives no instructions as to how to use these elements. Upon filling out the name field with either a name, alias, or title of an individual, the cost field will return a value, usually in USD, but occasionally in other forms of currency, valuable goods, or, in several recorded instances, a relative or acquaintance of the user. It is unknown how the cost of an individual targeted in this fashion is determined, though high-interest, well-protected targets such as government officials will typically have an extremely high cost, making them unattainable to most users. Orders that the customer cannot afford will simply be denied. When the Place Order button is clicked, three events will occur. The price specified in the cost field will be removed from the user's possession. The individual named in the name field will appear in the vicinity of the user within a period of 12 to 72 hours, and the customer's served counter will increment by 1. The individual delivered to the purchaser will invariably be the one the purchaser meant to place an order for, even though no information other than the name, alias, or title of the individual was entered in the name field. General descriptions entered in the name field will result in a random individual matching those descriptions being delivered to the purchaser. Instances of SCP-1243-2 are entities which appear in the vicinity of individuals purchased using SCP-1243-1 for the purpose of abducting such individuals. Subjects vary greatly in appearance, though they are usually described as humanoids whose features have been significantly altered by surgical or other invasive means. Instances of SCP-1243-2 have been observed entering buildings through doors inaccessible from the outside and, rarely, traveling through objects such as mirrors and television screens to reach their target. Physical violence has proven effective in stopping single instances of SCP-1243-2, though abduction events have never been prevented in this manner, as more instances will arrive to take their place. To this date, There has been no method of successfully preventing SCP-1243-2 from abducting those targeted by SCP-1243. Despite the Foundation's best efforts, the number displayed by the customers served counter continues to increase at an alarming rate. The possibility of knowledge of SCP-1243 being spread by outside sources is under consideration. Recovery. SCP-1243 was discovered following an FBI raid on a human trafficking ring in CA. The victims of this ring were found to be linked to missing persons cases in a number of different states, all of which were known to be outside the operating area of the criminal organization responsible for the ring. Additionally, the majority of the victims described being abducted by entities similar to those later designated SCP-1243-2. The URL leading to SCP-1243-1 was recovered from the hard drive seized by the FBI during this raid. All information regarding SCP-1243 was recovered from the FBI by MTF IOTA 10 aka Damn Feds. Both the victims of the ring and its perpetrators were given Class B amnestics with false memories implanted. Incident 1243-A. On the date of several instances of SCP-1243-2 appeared in redacted. The location where maintenance of SCP-1243 was being performed. By the time site security could respond, SCP-1243-2 had abducted 4 researchers involved with SCP-1243. At this time, information on several other SCP items is considered compromised, including SCP, and SCP. As the customers served counter did not increment, it is currently assumed that SCP-1243 acted of its own volition in a defensive manner. Revision of SCP-1243's special containment procedures is pending at this time.